The screen fades in, soft music playing in the background, a gentle acoustic melody that evokes a sense of nostalgia and warmth. We see a montage of family photos, candid moments of laughter, vacations, and holidays, all stitched together like a quilt of memories. The narrator's voice, heavy with emotion, begins to tell the story of a family that was once inseparable. Growing up, the narrator describes a childhood filled with love, where every Sunday was a family dinner, and every summer was an adventure planned together. The narrator recalls the smell of their mother's cooking, the sound of their father's booming laugh, and the comfort of knowing that no matter what, family was a constant. But as the montage shifts to more recent photos, the tone changes. The images become sparse, the smiles less frequent. The narrator explains how time and distance began to pull the family apart. Siblings moved to different cities, parents grew older, and the once tight bond started to fray at the edges. The narrator's voice trembles as they admit to feeling like they were losing their family, not to tragedy, but to the slow erosion of life's demands. Then the bombshell. The narrator stumbles upon a post on social media, their mother's words glowing on the screen, real family only. The post is from Greece, a place the narrator had no idea their family was visiting. The shock is palpable, the betrayal sharp. The narrator describes the sinking feeling in their chest, the question swirling in their mind. Why wasn't I told? Why wasn't I invited? The music shifts to a minor key, mirroring the narrator's growing sense of isolation. The paragraph ends with the narrator staring at the post, the vibrant blue of the Greek sea in the background of their mother's photo, a stark contrast to the grayness they feel inside. The scene transitions to the narrator sitting alone in their apartment, the glow of their phone screen illuminating their face in the dim light. The narrator scrolls through more photos from the Greece trip, each one a dagger to the heart. There's their mother, radiant in a sun hat, laughing with their siblings on a yacht. There's their father, toasting with a glass of wine at a seaside taverna. The narrator's voiceover delves into the memories of past family trips, where they were always included, always a part of the plan. They recount a specific memory of a beach vacation when they were 10, building sandcastles with their siblings while their parents watched, proud and content. The contrast between those memories and the present stings. The narrator begins to question their place in the family. Were they not real family anymore? The phrase from their mother's post echoes in their mind, each word a weight. They describe the hours spent obsessing over the post, analyzing every detail, the hashtags, the likes, the comments from cousins and aunts who were also there. The narrator's voice cracks as they admit to feeling like an outsider in their own family. The camera lingers on their face, capturing the flicker of hurt and confusion. The narrator recalls trying to call their mother, only to get her voicemail, and texting their siblings, only to receive vague replies. The silence from their family feels louder than any argument. The paragraph closes with the narrator deciding to dig deeper, determined to understand why they were left out, even as fear of the truth gnaws at them. The narrative shifts to a flashback, the screen brightening with the golden hues of a summer day years ago. The family is together at a reunion, the kind where every relative shows up with stories and dishes to share. The narrator describes the chaos and joy of those gatherings, where they felt like they belonged to something bigger than themselves. But as the flashback fades, the narrator reflects on how those gatherings became less frequent. They begin to piece together the moments that led to this fracture. The narrator admits to being busy with their own life work, relationships, personal struggles, and how they might have missed calls or skipped family events. The guilt creeps in, but so does resentment. They wonder why their family didn't reach out, didn't insist on their presence. The narrator decides to confront the situation, starting with a call to their closest sibling. The conversation is tense, filled with awkward pauses and half-truths. The sibling claims the Greece trip was a last-minute thing, but the narrator senses there's more to the story. The camera cuts to the narrator pacing their apartment, replaying the conversation in their head. They begin to question their own role in the family's drift. Were they too distant, too caught up in their own world? The narrator's voice grows introspective, exploring the complexity of family dynamics, how love can coexist with hurt. The paragraph ends with the narrator deciding to take action, booking a flight to Greece to join their family, hoping to mend the rift, or at least understand it. The scene shifts to the narrator's journey to Greece, the hum of the airplane. A constant undercurrent. The narrator describes the mix of emotions, hope, anger, fear as they fly across the ocean. They imagine confronting their family, demanding answers, but also fear the possibility of rejection. The camera shows the narrator looking out the plane window, the clouds below, a metaphor for the uncertainty they feel. Upon landing in Athens, the narrator is struck by the beauty of the city, its ancient ruins juxtaposed with bustling modern life. They check into a small hotel, their phones still buzzing with notifications from their mother's posts, each one a reminder of their exclusion. The narrator decides to track down their family, using clues from the social media photos. They visit a cafe their mother tagged, asking locals for directions to the places in the pictures. The locals are kind, their warmth a stark contrast to the coldness the narrator feels from their family. The narrator's voiceover reflects on the irony of finding connection with strangers while feeling disconnected from their own kin. As they wander through cobblestone streets, the narrator begins to question whether they're chasing a family that no longer wants them. The paragraph ends with the narrator standing on a cliff overlooking the Aegean Sea, the same sea from their mother's post, feeling both closer and further from their family than ever. The narrative takes a turn as the narrator finally locates their family at a small villa on Santorini. The camera captures the breathtaking whitewashed buildings against the blue domes, but the narrator's focus is on the villa's courtyard, where their family is gathered. The narrator hesitates at the gate, watching from a distance as their mother laughs with their siblings, unaware of their presence. The narrator's voiceover delves into the pain of watching this scene, the realization that their family seems complete without them. They debate whether to walk away or confront them. In a moment of courage, the narrator steps forward, calling out to their mother. The family's reaction is a mix of shock, guilt, and awkward welcomes. The narrator describes the tension and the air, the forced smiles, and the excuses that tumble out. Their mother claims the trip was meant to be a surprise, but the explanation feels hollow. The narrator presses for the truth, and a heated conversation ensues. Old grievances surface, missed calls, unreturned messages, moments of neglect on both sides. The narrator's voice grows raw as they admit their own faults, but demand accountability from their family. The paragraph ends with the family sitting down together, the conversation unresolved, but the first step toward reconciliation taken. The scene shifts to a quieter moment, the family gathered around a table under the stars. The narrator describes the tentative steps toward rebuilding. Trust. They talk late into the night, sharing stories, apologies, and truths that have been buried for years. The narrator learns that the real family-only post was not meant to exclude them, but was a misguided attempt by their mother to celebrate the family's closeness after years of drift. The narrator struggles to accept this, grappling with the hurt it caused. The camera captures small gestures, a hand on a shoulder, a shared laugh that hint at healing. The narrator reflects on the complexity of family, how love can be messy and imperfect. They begin to see their mother's perspective, her fear of losing her children to time and distance. The narrator also acknowledges their own role in the disconnect, vowing to be more present. The paragraph ends with the family planning a day together, a small gesture of unity. But the narrator knows the journey to repair is far from over. The narrative moves to the family exploring Greece together, visiting ancient ruins and swimming in the crystal waters. The narrator describes moments of joy, like their father teaching them about Greek history or their siblings splashing them in the sea. But there are also moments of tension, old habits, and misunderstandings resurfacing. The narrator's voiceover reflects on the work it takes to maintain family bonds, how it's not just about love, but effort and forgiveness. They begin to see their family not as a monolith, but as a collection of flawed, human individuals. The narrator shares a conversation with their mother where she admits her own fears of aging and losing relevance in her children's lives. This vulnerability shifts the narrator's perception, softening their anger. The camera captures the family at sunset, the sky ablaze with color, a visual parallel to the emotional intensity of their reconnection. The paragraph ends with the narrator feeling a cautious optimism, a belief that while the wounds may not fully heal, they can grow around them. The script closes with the narrator back home, reflecting on the trip. The camera shows them in their apartment, looking at the same family photos from the opening, but with a new perspective. The narrator's voiceover speaks of the lessons learned in Greece, not just about their family, but about themselves. They realize that family is not a static thing, but a living, evolving bond that requires care. The narrator admits they don't have all the answers, that the hurt from the real family only post may linger, but they choose to focus on the future. They describe a new ritual, weekly calls with their family, a promise to show up for each other. The music swells, returning to the warm acoustic tones of the opening, but now with a hopeful edge. The final shot is of the narrator posting their own photo from Greece, captioned "Family Always." The screen fades to black, the narrator's voice lingering with a final thought. Family isn't perfect, but it's worth fighting for. The script ends on this note, leaving the audience with a sense of closure and the possibility of redemption.